afternoon, and it is just afternoon, 10 past 12, afternoon. Good afternoon all, and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Hope you are all well. I've just come back from work. I've been out pounding the streets of London. The heat wave that I was sort of rather enjoying has come to an abrupt end. So we are now in a kind of a grey day. It's not cold, it's dry, so it's quite nice. But as I was working on my own today, I wore a fragrance to work that I would never dream ever of wearing to work. And it's obviously going to be the source of this review. And today we're going to be talking about another perfume from my favourite perfumer, Alessandro Gualtieri. And we are going to be discussing and talking about the rather impressive and quite wonderful Nudiflorum from Nasomatto. Now, this came out in 2018. I think it was one of the last, if not the last, additions to the Nasomatto project before Gualtieri finished working on it and started on the Auto Paresi collection, which you're probably more familiar with me banging on about rather than the Nasomatto. Now, I do have a few Nasomattos. Nasomatto. It means crazy nose in Italian, and this is crazy nose personified. This is so Gualtieri. This is, I mean, I've got all of the Auto Paresis. I've got three Nasomattos, and they're all, you know, very interesting fragrances, and I love them all. But this one is the maddest of them all. In terms of what it does, this is, I don't honestly, I'll tell you how this happened. I tried this in store a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, because it's only been out for 2 years. Pretty much when it first came out, I had a sniff of it, and I only sniffed it on paper, and I thought, okay, that's cool. I wasn't blown away by it. I had sort of other things on my mind, and I didn't really pay it that much more attention, in all honesty. Then a bottle came up on eBay from a trusted seller that I use quite a lot for an absolutely ridiculous price, and I felt embarrassed for it, sitting there lonely waiting to be sold at such a cheap price that I had to get it. And it arrived last week. I've worn it a few times since, and I've already decided, I've asked myself the question, how could I have let this one slip through my fingers? This is could easily be one of the most important in the Nasomatto collect, or the Nasomatto project. This is an amazing fragrance, and it's absolutely bonkers. So have a look at the presentation first. Obviously, it's a 30ml. One of these lovely little glass bottles. They're beautiful, and the caps are obviously, the star of the show in terms of the presentation. This one has a tubular or round cap as opposed to the square ones that you normally get. Beautiful wood, solid, beautiful. The bottle is fantastic. I love these little bottles. The sprayer lets out like a thick mist. Doesn't squirt. It goes. It sprays out beautifully. The presentation of these I think are amazing. I just wish they were 50ml bottles. Although saying that, this is a 30ml, and I think it's going to last me a lifetime. Now, I wore this, as I said, I wore this to work earlier, and it's not one that I recommend you wearing for work at all. And we'll come to that. But I've been home from work. I've showered. You can still smell it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray a tiny bit for the purposes of the review, because this is a perfect fragrance for me. It's a real journey fragrance, from the opening to whenever it finishes. I don't know, I've never let it naturally finish. I've had to scrub it off because it does not finish. There's such a massive difference in how this perfume starts to how this perfume ends. So I'm going to spray a little bit now to kind of refresh my memory for the purposes of the review. See, look, tiny. And it just mists out. It's like, whoa! It's just unbelievable of how this perfume goes. Now, because it is a Gualtieri, it's a Nasomatto, so there are no notes, and I have to trust my nose on this, because if you try and research it, everybody will tell you something completely different about it, and that's because it's so crazy. I haven't got any perfumes that smell remotely like this. There are some that smell a bit like stages of this, but this perfume takes you on such a journey. It's such a voyage. It's just an absolute delight. But like my relationship with most of Gualtieri's fragrances, they're always a bit weird to start off with. I'm not sure about this, or how am I going to do this, or where am I going with this one? What's it like? And then it takes a good few wearings for me to get to understand it. And then generally by the end of it, I'm in love with it. And this has happened with this one, but kind of like fast forwarded. So when you spray it, it's really weird. It smells almost in the same world as Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Oud Silk Mood. It reminds me of Oud Silk Mood. But it doesn't smell anything like Oud Silk Mood. It's crazy. You've got this almost like an oudy rose. It's almost, I think it's actually more, the more you smell it, it's like a carnation rather than a rose, but it shifts very, very quickly. You get this awesome sort of indolic floral, which is, you know, you've got this sort of floral note, or this, you know, mulched florals that are going slightly off. So it's kind of weird. It smells almost coming into like a skanky area, not like a skanky barnyardy area, but just like a slightly off sort of rotting vegetal, which sounds, I'm well aware that this sounds horrific, but it's not. It's sweet, it's green, it's airy. And also this is a kind of, this is almost a beast mode fragrance. Now, on previous reviews where I've talked about what quantifies a beast mode fragrance, well, a beast mode fragrance to me, and certainly to Rich, means that the fragrance has to have a very long lifespan, it has to have massive projection, and it has to have huge sillage. This has huge sillage. The sillage on this is just ridiculous, but it doesn't project very much. It does have incredibly long life, and literally you cannot get rid of it. Once it's on, it's on. You know, it's the typical olfactory tattoo simile that comes to play, but it doesn't project very much, which is strange. It's not a skin scent, it sits above the skin, but what it does do is it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, you've got to be incredibly careful how much you spray. Today, I sprayed one on my wrist, one on this wrist, and one there, and I was in a bubble for a good 5 or 6 hours. It was everywhere I went. And I was outdoors as well. So, you know, you have to be incredibly careful with it, because it's all over the shop. A bit like this review, because I'm quite excited and I'm losing where I'm supposed to be. So at the moment, I'm trying to tell you what it smells like, and here I am banging on about sillage. I humbly apologise. So you'll start off with, and this takes quite a while, this weird, almost oudy-like floral note, and it is, for a very short period, very similar, especially very similar, to Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Oud Silk Mood. And if you smell the sprayer, that's what you'll get from it. You'll think, oh, it smells a bit like Oud Silk Mood, but it changes very, very rapidly. Well, not very rapidly, but it changes. So you'll have this very sweet, almost oud rose opening, but then that changes completely, and this sort of weird jasmine kind of white florals with some green stems and white flowers that have been taken out of you've got them in a vase on your living room, and in your living room in the sun, and they look very pretty and they give off a lovely aroma, and then they start to wilt and then they start to go, and you're thinking, can I get another day out of them, or have I got to bin them? Well, the day you bin them, that's that kind of smell you get, that weird, it's kind of nice but it kind of isn't, if you know what I mean. And then that stays like that for quite a while. You've lost that sweetness, the carnation, the rose. That's kind of gone, and this weird sort of going off flower note hits. But there's always something in the base to support it, so it's never that light. You know, when you think of a floral, you think of something quite light and airy. This is airy, but it's not light. It's a conundrum. Then you get this kind of sharper green note coming in. I think it's like you've crushed the stems of a plant and smashed it in, and as that sort of goes there, it's green, but it's not wet. It's a dry green, which is quite interesting. It's not like a dried forest floor or something like that. It's like green flowers that have been left out in the sun, and the sun seems to play quite an important role with this. Now, the story behind Nudeflorum is it's meant to, it's got a bit of a saucy backstory. The Nudeflorum is meant to represent sort of skin on skin. It's another one of Gaultier's weird twists where he's trying to sexualise everything. And I'm not getting any of that at this stage. This is a weird sort of floral thing. But if you would take those flowers out of the vase that I've been banging on about, and instead of putting them in the bin, you leave them to dry, they'll become dry and they'll become crispy and they'll become crunchy, and then eventually they'll be dust. And that's what happens here. This gets drier and drier and drier. Now, some people have sort of said they get a smoky feel to it. I don't. I get a dusty feel to it, and there's a big difference for that. Because what then happens is you're taken almost off from, you've got your old crushed flowers on your kitchen table or your living room table. And as you smell it, you look up, you're not in your living room anymore. You're on like a savannah. You're on the plains somewhere, and the ground is very dry and it's very dusty, and all the grass is scorched and brown. That's what this smells like to me at this stage. So you've got this kind of weird oud, carnation style opening, and then these indolic sort of off flowers that are just getting drier and drier and drier. And then you're off. You're in the savannah somewhere. You've got dust over your feet and the ground's crunchy, and that's what this smells like. And you get this weird sort of vetiver, dried vetiver, almost a woody like smell to it. There's also some like little hints of patchouli in here. And as you're kind of and this is all going on, right? This takes hours at this stage. You've got quite a long time before you get to sort of about the 4 or 5 hour mark. You're still kind of crunching around in this savannah, smelling yourself, thinking, where the hell am I? And then this sweet, musky thing starts coming into play. And when it starts coming into play, it becomes almost animalic. There's almost like a hint of oud comes back again, but maybe with some castoreum or maybe some civet or something like that. And then it sweetens up again, and there you go. And that's when you start getting this sort of facsimile of skin, and it doesn't smell like your skin. What it smells like is if you've been wearing something like this, which is Autoparese Bergamasque, or something like this, which is Autoparese Megamara. If you've been wearing either of these, or you've got any experience with either of these, you'll know what it's like when you've finished wearing it. So if you've doused yourself in Bergamasque, or you've doused yourself in Megamara, and you have a shower, it never fully leaves your skin. After you've got out the shower, you've got the soap or whatever off, and you've dried yourself, you smell your skin. That heavy, sweet musk is still in your skin. It doesn't wash out. It has to fade over time. And that happens when you're wearing this. In the deep, deep dry down, Nudiflorum suddenly becomes like a sweet, musky skin. And that's where I'm thinking Gaultier is making this facsimile of skin on skin. Because when you smell it, because this is still, this is me after the shower, and this is obviously just put on. So this is going to be here for hours and hours and hours. What will happen is after a period of about maybe 4 or 5 hours, your skin starts to shine and you get this glistening, musky skin, which is beautiful. But what I need to tell you is all the time that this is going on, this perfume is still giving off sillage. Even 5 or 6 hours in, you're still leaving a scent trail. It's not projecting, it's sitting above your skin. You can smell it, but everyone else around you can smell it. And that's why I'm saying I would never, because this is so unusual, this is something that I would never recommend anybody wear to work. It's a beautiful, beautiful perfume, but it's not going to be for everyone. In fact, if you're into perfume and you quite like challenging and weird and wonderful fragrances, especially if you're familiar with Gaultier's work and you like those kind of fragrances, this is going to be perfect for you. If you're kind of just starting your fragrance journey, and this is meant to be in no way condescending or disrespectful, and you're not used to the kind of weird and wonderful fragrances, you're going to hate this. You're really going to struggle with it. It's not going to be a compliment getter either. People may be intrigued by what you're wearing. People that know about perfume and have an understanding of it will smell you and think, wow, that's interesting. What are you wearing? Can you tell me more about it? Because it is interesting. To me, it's very, very unique. But people aren't going to be fawning over you. They're not going to be coming up and asking you, to say, oh, you smell wonderful. Nudiflorum's not going to do that. It may do in the deep dry down when you're giving off this glistening skin, which I think is incredible. In fact, every stage of wearing this perfume, to me, is incredible. But I understand to others it's going to be quite challenging. So, it's not one that if I worked in an office, forget it. I'd never wear it to work. If I was in a job where I was around people all the time, the same people for any length of time, I'd never wear it as well, because it is quite a challenging perfume in some respects. To me, it's borderline artwork. I think it's just a stunning perfume, and I cannot believe that I've not had this for, how have I not got this in my collection already? I absolutely adore it. It's up there with Pardon. It's up there with Blanche, for me anyway. I love it. I think it's amazing. When the pubs reopen, I mean, I'm going to be wearing this down the pub an awful lot. You know, and as a caveat, a lot of my friends know that I've got this interest in perfumes, and I know, you know, they're used to me smelling a bit weird and wonderful at times. So it's, for me and my social circle of friends, it's not going to be particularly challenging. My wife kind of looked a bit when I applied this morning when I left for work. She was a bit what. Ooh. But when I came home, she's like, "Oh, you smell nice." So, you know, just to give you an idea, I mean, she's the only, obviously with social distancing, I've not been around very many people close enough for them to smell me, thankfully, if I'm wearing this, to be fair. So just to give you an idea that the journey that this perfume takes you on is so weird and wonderful. It's such a strange voyage. And that's one of the reasons I think I love it so much, because I do love this non-linear aspect of perfumery. When you've got a perfume that does take you on a journey, I think it's amazing. But there's so many facets to this. It is such a changeable perfume from start to finish. They're polar opposites. Just amazing how it goes. Oh, by the way, Jon Snow, for you. So still got the hat. The hat's fine. I got the impression after having some messages from some of you guys that people were more interested in the hat than the perfume. So just a quick guest appearance to let you know the hat's still doing fine. But anyway, enough of that. Back to this. I'm a bit blown away by this. You can probably gather that I'm a bit muddled in this review, and that's because I've been blown away by it. This is such an important fragrance in my collection already, and I've had it less than a week. If you get a chance when the stores reopen wherever you are, please go in and try it, but don't spray it on paper. That's the mistake I made. Spray it on your skin, and a healthy spray as well, and then go away. Don't try anything else. You know, if you want to try this in a store, go to a store that carries a Nasomatto collection, spray this one, and then walk out. Don't let it get confused with anything else, because it gets everywhere. It changes so much, you will be confusing it. You know, many times I've been out, and I know Rich has done the same. You spray this here, and you spray that there, you spray that, you know, and you kind of like, well, yeah, you get confused with it. This will completely throw you off kilter, because it just seems to go everywhere. So be careful with that. Don't, you know, just try that one. And if you can if someone's doing small samples of it or decants of it, you only need 1 or 2 mil and you'll get an understanding of it. But as it is one of those sort of classic bonkers Gualtieris, the more you wear it, the more you'll love it. I can guarantee you that. If you like challenging fragrances, it's not an easy wear, but I think it's a fantastic one. And certainly one, if you're kind of looking to push the boundaries a little bit on your fragrance journey, then get it. You know, get a sample of it and push those boundaries, because it's an exciting fragrance to me personally, and I think it's awesome. But I love this sort of lack of change. Anyway, listen, I'm really blown away by this. You can probably gather that. So I'm sorry I'm a bit muddled, and this is, you know, it's not the most objective review. I will tell you one thing though, this is going to be for someone who's really into their fragrances. It's not for someone who's kind of feeling out their fragrance journey. I think it may even set you back on your travels. I think it's completely unisex. Anyone can wear it. Any age can wear it. I don't think it would, because it's such a strange fragrance. It would, you know, would it be strange on a young person? Would it be strange on an old person? It's strange on everyone. Don't worry about that. It's a strange perfume, but it's a magical one, and it's a really intoxicating one. It's one I will always have a bottle of it. Although saying that, this 30 ml, I don't know how I'm going to get through it. You know, for me to say that about a 30 ml perfume, I don't know how I'm going to get through it. You know, 3 small sprays has got me through an entire day at work, and that's unheard of. I don't think I've done that with any perfume, to be honest. So it's, yeah, it's quite mad. Anyway, listen, thank you very much for your time. I'm aware that this review is going all over the shop, and I'm aware that I'm sounding like I'm completely insane. Honestly, I'm not. I'm just a bit staggered. So, listen, try and smell Nudiflorum. Please do. Especially if you're a bit like me and you're a bit, you know, not fed up with some of the, you know, perfumes out there. That's the wrong word. But if you're looking for something a little bit more adventurous, a little bit more crazy maybe, then have a go. Because Crazy Nose, as Nasomatto, it is indeed Crazy Nose. Perfect stuff. And if this, I'm pretty sure this was the last one from the Nasomatto collection. And if Gualtieri did sign off with this as his sort of a last instalment of the Nasomatto collection, what a perfume to sign off on. It's absolutely stunning, but bonkers. Anyway, Thank you very much for your time. I hope you guys are doing really well, and we're really enjoying, you know, the chit chat and stuff like that we have. If you've got any questions at all, hit me up. Sometimes if you're, by the way, just to let you know, sometimes if you're commenting on some of our older videos, I don't always get notification of it. So sometimes I've missed some comments. So if I have missed your comments, I really apologise. It's always best to send me a direct message on Instagram. Just follow a Question in Sense on Instagram, because obviously if I get a direct message from that, it flashes up on my phone. If you're commenting on sort of the more recent videos, then we pick those up really easily. But for some, I don't know what it is. It's something with YouTube, but sometimes some of the older videos, I trawl through them, but as you can imagine, there's like 115, 116 videos. It takes a long time to go into all of them and check all the comments. So if I have missed your comments, I do apologise, but just, you know, redirect them to our Instagram page, and I'll be able to answer them pretty much straight away. So listen, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. Lots more coming, as you can imagine. We are slowly chipping away at the backlog, and we will get them out to you as soon as we can. Thank you very much for your time. See you in the next video. Take care. Cheers and bye.